So Joe Budden made Drake release Scary Hours 3. Joe Budden made Drake release Scary Hours 3. Now, what are you talking about, J. Ray? What you mean made him? Did he put a gun to his head? Did he beat him up? Did he force him to do it? No, 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 no. None of that. This is what happened. Y'all remember Drake dropped For All the Dogs. Wasn't it? Let me see, it's November. So it was last month, right? It got heavily panned by not only Joe Budden, but and Joe Budden didn't even really bash it too hard. He said he liked it, but he expected more from Drake. But everybody else was calling it trash, 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 trash. But Joe Budden, his comments were highlighted. His criticism was highlighted. And Drake went at him. Drake went at him and was talking about how you're a failed rapper. They don't want to retire you. They don't want to hang up your jersey. He did all that emotional, impulsive response just to release Scary Hours 3, which is nothing but rap music. Now it's an EP, and I think it's like, what, 5-6 songs or something like that. But he did all that complaining, going and barking at Joe Budden just for him to drop an all rap EP. And that's what we as Drake fans and fans of the culture wanted Drake to drop anyway. You know what I'm saying? But Drake heavily relied on the current sound and the new crowd, the newer, the younger crowd. He was hopping on the young wave. It was so sad because the only hit song from his album, the only one, it ain't First Person Shooter. J. Cole is on there, but it's a dope track, but I ain't gonna call it a hit record. But the only one that gets spins is the Sexy Red record, the Rich Baby Daddy record. And that don't even feel like a Drake record. That feels like a Sexy Red record that Drake got on and SZA got on. People don't even sing Drake's part. I don't even know how Drake's part goes anymore, to be honest. I just know, shake that ass for Drake. Shake that ass for me. Bend that ass over. Let that coochie breathe. That's what you hear. That's a Sexy Red song. So it was so bad, Drake had to rely on that. But anyway, he was, Joe Budden was here you go. Shout out to Lake for Life. You said this is what you've been waiting on. Yeah. Shout out to TRM Williams. Shout out to the to that podcast, man. Oh my god, I just had a brain freeze. The TC what's the podcast? What's the podcast, Williams? I forgot, man. I forgot which one. I got a t-shirt and everything. I just had a brain freeze. But anyway, let me get back on point because I know he'll correct me. The Core Room podcast. That's what it is. The Core Room. Shout out to the Core Room podcast. You said, nah, bro. First person shooter is definitely hit. Do they play that on the radio? Do DJs play that in the club? Like, that's what I'm talking about as a hit. But anyway, no. Joe Budden's criticism made Drake release Scary Hours 3 because Scary Hours 3 is filled with rap songs. And I saw some people in this cap. They were talking about how do you know that Drake didn't already have those songs and he was already going to put that out? Nigga, please. Drake had the Core Room. Yep, the Core Room. Everybody make sure that you go subscribe to the Core Room podcast. I had it mixed up in my head. But yeah. So Scary Hours 3 is full of rap songs. And people were saying, how do you know he didn't have those already in the stash? Man, I think that Drake said that he went in and recorded all that. I think he said that he went and recorded all that. Plus, he's taking shots. It's an aggressive little EP. It's a little feisty EP. He's going at Joe Budden. He's going at Pusha T again. He's going at Kanye. That Joe Budden thing and the heavily bashing of his album set him off so much. It set him off so much to where he went in and recorded that. And he got J. Cole to feature back on there. To help him out. And by the way, let me ask this question real quick. Do y'all think he's using J. Cole? I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, as far as what I thought about Scary Hours 3, it's decent. But to me, in my opinion, it's a little too late. You only released that because of the heavily how your project was heavily criticized, right? If people wouldn't have said nothing about that album and, it was all good, it wasn't getting bad reviews, a lot of negative publicity, nobody saying that you fell off or whatever, would you have really released Scary Hours 3? That was a desperation attempt, in my opinion. That was a desperation attempt because y'all remember when Eminem put out Revival? Wasn't that what it was called? Revival? And it got heavily bashed like a motherfucker. Like they were like, I'm talking about heavily bashed. He had that song with Beyonce, and it was not a good album. It was really bad. I'm an Eminem fan. That was a bad album. It got heavily bashed by Joe Budden. And what happened? The next year, a few months later, actually going into that new year, Eminem drops Kamikaze and lashes out at everybody who has something to say. He went off on Joe Budden, and Joe Budden was actually signed to him on Slaughterhouse. He went off on Lord Jamar. He went off on everybody that has something to say about it. That's what Drake did with this one, Scary Hours. But with Scary Hours 3, it was so much. You can't tell me this wasn't about the Joe Budden criticism, because he packaged that with For All the Dogs. He packaged that with For All the Dogs. It wasn't a standalone EP. He put that with the album. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? And the fact that he got J. Cole back on it shows that he's trying to get back to his real rap side. But to me, like I said, the project, it was cool. Scary Hours 3, he's rapping, but to me, it's a little too late. It wasn't anything that really just stood out. It just sounded like he was uninspired still, but it was rapping for the most part. You said still haven't heard of Yes and Yes. He's using J. Cole. Okay. You see what I'm saying? So my homeboy Lavelle brought that up, and I was like, what you mean using J. Cole? He was like, when have they ever heavily collaborated before? He feels that Lavelle was saying he feels that probably Drake doesn't look at J. Cole as competition anymore, because Drake has excelled, right? Now, J. Cole has a great career too. But at first, you remember everybody was comparing Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick. Now, they did songs with each other here and there, but it wasn't heavy. It wasn't heavy like that. Now, the fact that it's like, okay, let me go on tour with J. Cole. Let me get him on my album. When has J. Cole ever been on a Drake album? When has that happened? Now, Drake has been on a J. Cole album, and this is just some thoughts. This is just some thoughts, a theory. I don't know. I'm not saying that he is or isn't, but it does seem odd that he is heavily featuring J. Cole. And why is J. Cole heavily featured on this project? You know what I'm saying? And you're going on tour with them all of a sudden, way later in y'all careers, So you said no, he's not using J. Cole, but Cole's definitely what he needs right now to regain his hunger. But see, that's what people could be saying. That, like, that's what Lavelle, I think, talking about. He could be using him to regain his hunger, have more competition, or he's using him because he wants that real rap atmosphere, whatever the case may be. But regardless, I'm not mad at it, because did y'all see the first person shoot a video? Fire. That's one of the best music videos I've seen in a minute. It was so good. It felt like I was watching 106 in Park. It felt like I was watching Rap City The Basement. It felt like I was watching Direct Effect on MTV. That's the feeling that it gave me. It didn't feel like I was watching it from the internet, because the internet done messed everything up. But it was a good video. And if you have not seen the first person video, please do yourselves a favor and go see it. But yeah, Joe Budden, his criticism made Drake, it brought out that impulsive, emotional behavior to Drake, going off on him, and then he ended up releasing Scary Hours 3. That wasn't by coincidence. So shout out to Joe Budden for bringing out the rapper in Drake. Drake had even said he was retiring. Remember that? Not retiring. He said, I'm not going to be releasing music for a while because I got stomach issues. You don't sound like you got stomach issues anymore. And you about to go on tour. Now this could also, to play devil's advocate, he could have put this out to promote the tour. He's going on tour with J. Cole, and it's a few dates, so that could be it. But if you ask me, I think that since the fact that he's going at people, he's aggressive and mad and upset, and he packaged it with his album. He packaged it with the album instead of it being a standalone EP. But that's what I think. Y'all let me know what you think. Yeah, he said opportunist for sure. Yeah, man, check out that video, man. It's a real good video. Can't lie. I cannot lie. But